Hello there, third graders. It's time for our next lesson, lesson 3-2, and this one is called Estimating Cost. Today is day 1 of this lesson. Tomorrow we will finish it with day 2, but first, a number talk. Now, as I was putting this in there, I honestly thought, did we do this one already or not? So if we did, I apologize. If we didn't, here we go. And really, if we did and we do it again, it's good practice. So I've got some numbers in my circles and I'm going to write them here. And my task is to round it to the nearest 10. So when I think of 34, I know it's between the tens of 30 and 40. And so I have to think about which one is it nearest to. It is nearest to 30. So if I was going to round 34 to the nearest 10, I would round it to 30. And how far away is 34 from the nearest 10? It is 4 away. And I've got 18, 23, and 45. We're going to do the same thing. Round 18 to the nearest 10. 18 is between 18 and 20. Excuse me, that's not right, Mrs. Flurry. It's between 10 and 20. It is closer to 20, so rounding 18 to the nearest 10 would be 20. And how far away is 18 from 20? It is 2 away. Now 23, and I'm going to round that to the nearest 10. 23 is between 20 and 30. It is closer to 20. So rounding 23 to the nearest 10, it would be 20. How far away is 23 from 20? It is 3 away. Lastly, we have 45. Well, 45 is between 40 and 50. And 45 is right smack dab in the middle of 40 and 50. Here's a tip. Anytime a number has a 5 in the ones place, we're always going to round that up to the next 10. So 45 rounded to the nearest 10 is going to be 50, and it is 5 away. Working on some mental math here, and we're going to continue working on some rounding. Let me get this out of the way and move my screen over just a little bit. Is 18 closer to 10 or 20? It's between 10 and 20. Now, what I know this is mental math, but I'm just very quickly, well, I've got a number line, and I'm going to start it with 10 and put 20 on the other side. 15 is in the middle. Well, 18 would go over here somewhere, so it's closer to 20. So that's the way that you can think about it. 21, is it closer to 20 or 30? It's between 20 and 30, but 21 is closer to 20. Now we have, again, let me move my screen over. It's a little wonky. 188, is it closer to 180 or 190? Well, it's between 180 and 190, but it is indeed closer to 190. Now I've got 105. Is it closer to 100 or 110? Well, it's between 100 and 110. Oh, and wait, it ends in a 5, so it's going to be the halfway number. Anytime the number that you're rounding is the halfway number, we round it up. So it's going to be closer to 110. And now we've got some thousands that we're going to quickly work with. Again, let me move my screen over. 2,777. Is it closer to 2,770 or 2,780? It's between the two of them, but it is indeed closer to 2,780. And then we have 2,850. Is it closer to 2,800 or 2,900? Well, 2,850 is smack dab in the middle. We have a 5, so we're going to round it up, and we're going to round it to 2,900. Okay, so I want you to pause this video in just a second and get your math journal out and turn it to page 67. Do that now, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Okay, On page 67, we have a problem. Rosa makes an estimate for the addition problem 322 plus 487. She uses numbers that are close to the numbers in the problem but are easier to use. Meaning, you know what? I could probably add these numbers in my head. That's how easy. So we have the problem 320 plus 490 equals 810. I want you to explain Rosa's thinking. So this is the initial problem up here. Explain her rounding to a friend. Pause the video and do that now. Okay, now that we're back, let's think about what Rosa did here. You know what? Yep, this is right. I'm sorry, Mrs. Flory, thought we were on the wrong page. So 320 is closer to 322. 487 is closer to 490. So her estimations are absolutely correct. And when I add those together, well, 0 ones and 0 ones is going to be 0. 9 tens and 11 tens, well, that's going to be 110 left over and then another 100. So 300 plus 400 plus 100, yep, 810, that works. Now let's see if we can make a different estimate. What if I'm taking, again, that problem of 322 and I am going to add it to 487. What could a different estimate be? What other close but easy numbers could you use? Well, if I think of 322, it's between 300 and 400, and which one is it closer to? It's closer to 300. And I see, again, 487. It's between 400 and 500, and it's closer to 500. I would round that to 500. So my estimate for that answer would be 800. Either of these estimates are correct. As long as you are rounding your number to a close but easy to use number, that's going to help you with your estimate. So you're going to do an activity, and this is what we're going to end our lesson with, and then we're going to come back and visit it tomorrow. Here we have Anne and her friend, and they're walking home from school. Anne shows her friend this homework problem and her answer. So the problem: the art club has $100 to spend on materials. They bought watercolor paints for $38 and brushes for $19. So here we have that whole supply was $38 and all those brushes were $19 together. How much money does the club have left over after she bought it? Anne, or this person says, Anne says they had $67 left. Now, suppose that you are Anne's friend and you don't have a pencil or a calculator with you. In your head, make an estimate for how much money the club has left. And you can write your answers on the next page, which looks like this. Okay, and I will have copies of this made so that you can have it to write on. So write your estimate for how much money the club has left over. Use your estimate to decide whether Anne's answer is reasonable. And then decide, is Anne's answer reasonable? Show your thinking about how you used an estimate in this thought bubble right here. But first, I want to go back to the problem. All right, so here's the paper. Here's the assignment. Anne put her name where it should be. What do we know from the problem? That the club has $100 to spend on materials. They bought watercolor paints for $38 and brushes for $19. Your task is to find out how much money the club has left, not how much Anne spent, but how much the club has left. Well, again, let's look at number 1. Suppose that you are Anne's friend and you don't have a pencil or calculator with you. In your head, make an estimate for how much money the club has left over. In your head, ladies and gentlemen. That means you're going to estimate the numbers of what she's spending to a close but easy to use number, because you want to do it in your head. So, I'm not going to make it be 67 plus 89, because you know what? I can't do that in my head. So I want to round the numbers to close but easy to use numbers. And that's what you're going to work on back here. You can do your estimating right here in the bubble. You've got room over here that you could do your estimating for. So after you've figured out your estimate for how much money the club has left over, write it here, and then use your estimate to decide whether Anne's answer is reasonable. Does 67 make sense? Yes or no? And then in the bubble, tell why you think your estimate is reasonable or why Anne's estimate is reasonable, and how you got your estimate. You can do it right inside that bubble. And look, no math journal pages. This is what I want you to focus your time on. Now, going back to this one more time. This is what I say in the classroom all the time, ladies and gentlemen. You are going to need to read this problem once, twice, 3 times. You might need to read it 7 times. You need to read it until you understand exactly what the problem is telling you and what it's asking you to do. Good luck. We are going to revisit this problem tomorrow, and I will talk to you then.